happy about LeBron?
Am I happy about LeBron? Yes.
I mean, let's talk
And
about something important.
let's talk about something important. So if anybody knows, LeBron signed with the Sixers and I'm from Philly, and Jason hates that about me. Um,
It's just sports. The rest of it's okay.
because he's a Rangers, Giants, Mets fan.
Mets fan.
Yeah, so we definitely have that. I think that
Of course,
one
you
thing
you omitted the only championship team that amongst that group in the Knicks, but yeah,
wise, I was okay with them winning it because there was a whole bunch of Villanova people. So
true. They do have a strong
I'm
Philly.
gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. Am I happy about LeBron signing?
Yeah,
Yes, but in that it's good for the city. I think it's just good. You know what I mean? Like I think he's gonna be like the another coach just off the bench type of thing. You know?
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if LeBron and Embiid play a full season for one guy between the two of them, if they get 82 games in, I think the Sixers will be happy with that because they don't really care until April.
Partially for me, I think he's just doing the Tom Brady thing and just chasing at the end in reality because he's going for what, two years, 8 million. So that's like trying to get there.
That's a
So
lot of buzz. I mean, I think I saw like 32 of their games are nationally televised games this year, and obviously between it makes an interesting storyline with Boston. But yeah, hey, there's a great analogous topic is like bringing on legends and superstars onto already existing teams, and how do you integrate talent
yeah,
onto an existing core, or how do you actually integrate a lot of moving parts? Uh, you could make the argument that their two best players are brand new to the team. So, like, how much does chemistry matter? How much can they get the chemistry they need by April, which is really what the regular season will be about, I
yeah.
guess. Um,
In a fun segue, maybe not superstar, it's that goes also for agency life.
that's what I meant. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you see this right where like people make these big announcements about like, oh, we just hired so and so, and they're a legend in XYZ or whatever, and then 6 months later you'll talk to the same CEO or the same owner, and it's like, yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of going through that right now, considering I just joined a pretty, you know, pretty legendary. It's been around for a very long time team.
Yep.
Um, as head of revenue, which is actually a surprise to a lot of people, by the way, in a
What
lot of ways.
you took the job?
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't surprise you.
Why does it surprise them? I guess.
Well, because I've been doing my own thing for so long. You know what I mean? My last thing, went the way it went. It was fine, but so not really surprising there. But like, I went to everybody. I am head of revenue for Clockwork now, out of Minneapolis. Awesome, awesome people. I think it's just surprising because I was like, oh, I'm going to do my own thing again, and it just kind of dropped in my lap type of thing.
Well, I think right, kind of going back to what we were just talking about, like again, I think intentional design around your company, and this includes obviously HR and bringing people on board and off board and all the rest of it. I mean, this is like I have a client right now. We're dealing with this, right? Agency owner, they're going through operational change. Their ops manager is leaving, but the owner doesn't necessarily want to just replace an ops manager with an ops manager. They're a growing agency. They're maturing. They're getting more sophisticated, more complex. And so it's kind of like, what does the business need to operate like over the next 3 to 5 years? And then who are the people that we need to bring in to that design in order to execute right against the wishes of the owner and of the company. And I think one of the things with working with this particular owner was great is because he's more committed to like values and culture fit than he is to straight talent. And, again, I think sometimes the shiny new object is just the shiny new object. And I know it's fun and it's very seductive. And I get the fact that you can kind of like market off of some of the talent that you bring in. I mean, I don't think anybody knew who Inter Miami was before Messi got there. I mean, maybe people did, but I didn't. And so like, so I get the allure of it, right? But to your point about clockwork, like right time, right fit. E- Extending that analogy, like for Messi, now's the right time and the right fit for him to go play MLS soccer in Miami. He's 39 years old. He's done everything he can do. He's like, there's a whole bunch of things at this point. But 25-year-old Messi, probably no way he would have come and played.
No, I mean,
He would have been in a better league, a different place because he was in a different place. So
right. I mean, and to be fair, like Beckham started it all, right? Started that whole progression, right? He was done with Manchester United. He was like, I'm not, but I'm going to come to the US and play for a little bit, do the same thing. So, like, you see that kind of progression, of, like the older players get around. So it's funny because, I know we're kind of like we started just with LeBron, but like, I'm just like trying to do the thing I do and I found the team that I love. I mean, I know Jenny, the CEO, for a very long time and always respected the whole company and makes sense. It's just kind of like, I think there's something to be said what you were saying, like the operation person, right? I think agencies now kind of they have to figure out what they want to be, right? World has changed or whatever. What are you that you want to be? And I think it's the right strategy of going, do you want to replace that person with, ops manager or somebody else or something else, right? It's like, where do you want to be next year or two, whatever that is. And that's like the hard part, I think. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
agreed. Yeah, I think intentional design around your business is just going to become so vital to all businesses, really, but certainly services businesses in the short and midterm. And like I was hearing somebody talk about this the other day, and obviously AI is a big driver and all the rest of it. But like the reality is they were saying like this technology is like driving the kind of thinking that good leaders at great companies do all the time without necessarily being driven by a particular event going on. So great leaders are always thinking about how are they going to restructure? How are they going to evolve, right? As they go forward,
Yeah.
while they're reading the tea leaves of what's going on now and trying to predict where the market will be at some point in the future. But you have to think through that process. It's a diagnostic process first. I think a lot of people just want to get to the action, hire somebody, let's start the process. It's like, but what are you hiring for? Are you hiring for a job that has had a certain, role and responsibility that
Right.
applies to the last 10 years? Or are you hiring a job? Might be the same title, but are you hiring a job where the role and responsibilities is going to be apropos for the next 10 years, right?
Right.
The impetus to act is always, because look, it's chaotic. Bandwidth is stretched. A lot of agency owners, they got 1,000 plates spinning. Most of
Oh,
them, there's, crisis and chaos and whatever. So everything is like, hey, just got to keep moving, keep moving. Let's just move. Let's make a hire. Let's do something. Let's do something. Let's do something. And because they're afraid of going too slow, they don't actually, again, intentionally kind of think through what their needs are. And I have to give credit to the client I was talking about because, well, he's in a situation where originally he was like, yeah, I'm happy to take the time to go through this. And then, circumstances kind of compressed his timeline. And so we're trying to do our best to get a lot into a much shorter timeline. But typically, owners who are like, hey, it's probably better to, let's take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Let's really figure this out because I don't want to be back here hiring another person in 6 months or whatever.
yeah, it's funny because that's what we kind of went through here, right? Because it's funny because I'm either been here for 3 weeks or 5 months. It depends how you count, right? Because I was consulting with them. But we're proud of it, like partially why because we are actually looking at it from the whole holistic thing, right? What do we want to grow up? Where are we? Do we have the right people in the right seats? Do we have the right seats?
Right.
Right? Do we have the right ones? Do we have the right product? Like all that stuff. Like we're actually designing this thing as we go along and putting as we, I don't. The one thing I think is funny here is kind of like I don't think they would have hired this position if it was like we were designing this position fully together and have as this kind of we had a good conversation about it. But like I think this would be a little like a longer type thing, but it fits. It fits the progression of what we need right now, right? Like designing that whole thing and changing how revenue comes in. Um, it's tricky. Like, own an agency and been around agencies for a long time. It is trying to design your own service is hard, especially at a certain level, right?
Yeah. Well, I think also, um, it's a much, like, deeper, more comprehensive exercise, and I think a lot of people can definitely scratch the first level or the surface of the first level, which is sort of like, what do we do? What do we wanna be? What, right? They're really answering the question, "What?" But I think as you get, real intentional design gets into how. Well, how do you want to deliver work in 3 years? How do you want to make your money?
Right.
How high of quality do you want your earnings to be? How much value do you want to create? It's that the how part, I think, and the why. I'm a big how and why person around differentiation from a positioning and marketing standpoint, but I think it also applies to your operational design, right? And really asking those questions around, like, not just what the company is going to look like or what you want it to look like, but also from the client point of view, how are clients going to receive your work 24 months from now? How are they going to pay you? I think a lot of people, when they hear about operational design, they think, not the podcast, but like Office Space, they think the two Bobs, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're coming in to slash jobs. That's operational design because it's all about, like, we got to make things more efficient. And I don't necessarily think agencies and agency owners are stuck in this really bad mindset. It's not their fault because the agency world has kind of always worked like this and they need to eat off it, but they're stuck in this quantitative mindset where everything is a quantitative exercise instead of a qualitative exercise. And,
Right.
and I understand why, whether it's their pricing model with billable, T&M or cost plus based pricing, whether it's how they view their CRM and, well, we got to get, the conversion rate is 10%. So we need, 10x the leads and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you and I have had this conversation. Like, the ultimate myth is like the full pipeline actually ever really exists. Like, you have 5 clients who are just waiting for you to get rid of one client so that they can sign the SOW that day, get you your check that day, and you can start. There's always going to be, ebbs and flows, to
Yeah.
so um so yeah, I think um getting out of the quantitative mindset and getting into intentional design is not about cutting jobs. So you just said it. It's about getting the right people in the right seats. The number of people at your company, I am totally uninterested in.
Yeah.
You can justify a 5-person agency, you can justify a 50-person agency, you can justify a 500-person agency. So I don't care, right? What I care about is as you start to dig into each business unit around the company, and as you dig into all the roles and that currently exist, it's like, it's not so much. Maybe the people will change. I don't know if the number has to change. That might change too. It might. But again, you got to go through the diagnostic part first before you can just start making decisions and putting action into play. Because if you don't do that, if you don't really, you and I have talked about this. Like, account management to me is one of these topics where it's like, I just think I'm seeing this a lot where it's just like we are just stuck in the past around what account management needs to look like, to the point where we shouldn't even be calling the job title that anymore, because managing things, you talked about QBRs recently, but like managing things around competitive research and market analysis and creating reports that you send every 90 days in some PDF that no one's ever going to read. And like, first of all, if you still want to do that, that doesn't really have to be done by a human being anymore. Number one, in my opinion. But even if you want somebody to do that, what clients, I hear a lot of agencies talk about, well, we want to be partners for our clients. We want to provide value, value, value. But they don't really listen to when their clients are telling them that they actually want from their agency relationships. We
Yep.
still think, as a group, we still think it's about like the quality of the work. And it's not. It's about the quality of the relationship. And the reality is that we should be calling them account strategists, not account managers,
Yep.
because clients don't want to pay for somebody to manage their account. They want to pay for somebody to do strategy on their account. That is interesting to them, right? That global CMO of AB InBev talking about, a real strategic partnership with an agency is on our very first call. They're telling me that they know why people buy beer in Shanghai differently than they buy beer in Rio, right?
Correct.
That's account strategy, right?
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
what they're willing to pay for. And it's what they're willing to stick around for, which obviously, in our business, like, that's the ultimate, you know, margin expander is retention, right?
Exactly, and it's the biggest bang for the buck, right? That's where your business is gonna be. Like,
Yep.
70% to 80% of your business should be that.
Yeah.
Should be coming from all that and expanding the account. That's how you expand account, right? Like, I also have this, like, lately been on this, like, kick of, like, what law do we have that we have to charge hourly or TNM or whatever? We can just do things, right? Like, my funny moment was, like, I don't know why, like, it came said this the other day. I was like, if our agency wants to charge people with and we want golden unicorns as payment, that's what we're gonna ask for. You know what I mean? Like I just like there's no law to it. Like where do we got to the place where like, well, this has to be hourly, and this has to be this. Yeah, who cares? You can just do things. You can adjust those, adjust what you're paying, like doing it. Yes,
Yeah.
there's value and blah blah blah, and there's some standard stuff. Sure, but you can just do that kind of stuff. Like
Mhm.
I feel like people got stuck in this like cookie cutter. This is what everybody done, so I'm just gonna do it this way. And you're like, why?
Yeah, it's funny. We're willing to let our producers and our creators experiment, but we as business people are not willing to experiment, right? Like new clients have no idea how you've done work for other
Yeah.
clients in the past. So try stuff. I mean, like, I don't,
Like they used before other agencies or whoever they used or wherever they were. They don't know how you work unless they brought you like whatever. But if
right.
they haven't worked with you, they have no idea. Throw that around.
Like, I wouldn't try like pricing experimentation necessarily on this is a general statement, depends on the relationship, but like I wouldn't necessarily start with uh, evolution of pricing models with legacy clients because they're used to working with you in a certain way and you're going to create disruption and friction and you're going to have to explain it. And then they're going to really be like, oh, this is different. And then, but new clients, why not?
We did it.
Exactly.
We did it
I
straight.
don't know.
Yeah. We
So,
just changed it every single client. We changed it to one day. I said, it's going to cost you this amount of money a month. And
right.
I was that's how we started retainers. We went through evolution of every single version of this. They said, it's going to cost you $20,000 for us to work with you. It's a retainer. This is what we do.
Yep.
We can get to the deal. And they're like, okay.
But even that experimentation requires some diagnostic work because you don't want to experiment just for the sake of experimenting, right?
No.
It
No,
needs
no,
to
no, no.
solve two problems. One is it good for are you providing more value by doing it this way or as much or more value by doing it this way to to new clients? And also is it better for you and your business and your team, right? Because again, I think we I talk a lot about value creation and a lot of people skip to the financial part of value creation and I totally understand that. But my theory is if you create value for people, then the entity is more valuable. And so if you create value for your clients through changing the nature of your relationship and changing the nature of your work, if you can create value for your employees by putting them in better positions to succeed with more dignity of work where they're not necessarily just like automatons, like just pumping like digital paper pushers, right? Where we're actually
Yeah.
saying to people in the new world, on the new org chart with the new jobs and the new roles and the new responsibilities, hey, we're going to take a lot of this non-thinking work off your plate, but we're going to replace it with a lot of thinking work. So then you've got to decide, and this is the hard part, is Johnny, who's been with you for 8 years and didn't take a full paycheck 8 years ago and you started your business, is Johnny able to transition? Does he have the skill? Do they have the skill set right to transition into these new expectations around new roles and new responsibilities? Again, the title may not actually change, or it may, but it may not, right?
Yeah. And like the experimentation is like, that's how you adjust and figure out your business model in this thing and what works for certain type of clients or certain type of things. Does it make sense? Can you look at, you know what I mean, like overall, like we were running similar, eventually when we got everybody on the retainer, our world has changed a lot because we know what we could do, right? So we could have given a client a lot more work or not, or whatever. But because we're doing everything on the retainer, our responsibility is doing as efficient as possible internally for us, right? So we could do this and have that responsibility. And then like you do this over a period of time, all of a sudden you're like, well, this makes more sense. You're there with clients for 10 years. Institutional knowledge is all over the place. All of a sudden you do one of these like, you know, here's the work, here's the retainer, does this all of a sudden.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, but that takes guts and like understanding it and being creative about it and going to be like, hey, we can do this different and be better, you know? That's
Nobody said change was easy, but it is necessary. So, you
yeah.
know,
And just having the skill set to do it, you know, I mean, like just go do things. And I'm not saying, and I do not say this like go do it willy nilly and don't look at your numbers and look all that, but like figure little things out, you know? And I think there's some especially now. I think with the market being the market and it's, world is on fire or whatever, I think there's creative ways you can play this in every single way, you know? Because every single company's gonna be conscious, every single client's gonna be like, well, we can't spend this, and there's AI things, so we want it cheaper. And then you gotta play that, right? Like, how do you make that money? You know? And I said it because like to me, like I know we got to the hourly thing, but like to me, hourly is not existent anymore. Because how are you gonna do that and say we also use AI to do the work?
yeah, I'm of two minds about that. I believe new technology is always more expensive. So like a TV comes to the market, it's like $2,000, and then like 2 years later, it's like $200, right? So that's part of how I think about it. Also, I think the learning curve to become experts or more expert than your clients and things, it's a pass through cost. I'm sorry, but there's a cost to that. You're getting the benefit of us being able to provide just as much value,
Hmm.
not cheaper, but faster,
Yeah.
right? But again, that's output. And I think, and I hate, output versus outcomes has gotten talking about commoditized phrasing, but like, I feel like the problem with billable hours, right, is really, it's about you. It's this mentality instead of this mentality, right? And
Mhm.
again, if you are serious about providing value to your clients, this really shouldn't be your default all the time. It might work in certain situations. There's not always and never. I don't love those terms, but like the world is gray. Business is gray. Like it's nuanced. It's not
Nuance. Yeah,
because,
it's so nuanced. Life is just
to
nuanced.
your point earlier about like cookie cutter, you can there's no ubiquitous playbook. Not to go off topic for a second here, but like one of the things I'm seeing a lot of are like AI operating systems. And you're like, okay, tell me about your AI operating system for agencies. And it's like, well, you got to use these tools and you got to do it this way. And you're like, that does not work. It will not
Nope,
work that way. Okay.
nope. Step by step.
You're not going to box these people in that way. Um, the models need to be, that's why I like frameworks better than platforms, because a framework inherently has flexibility built into it. It's a scaffolding that you can fill in with the details.
I
It's
mean, yeah,
not like, hey, we're giving you a furnished home, whether you want the furniture or not.
yeah. I mean, it's the. I mean, not to plug my own thing, but like that's why red string is built the way it's built, right? Our prospecting thing, like that sort of thing. It's like you plug it into AI, and then whatever else you plugged in, that's what bounces off of. It's not just oh, you have to use HubSpot and Google, Workspace
Yeah.
because that's the only thing we work with.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me because even if you just did that, right? Even you said we only work with HubSpot and Google, and you had 10 agencies in it or 10 companies, they all will be different.
Mm.
Like every
That's right.
single version, right? They'll have Slack, Google, and HubSpot. All 10 of them work different.
Hmm. Exactly.
Right. So like you kind of have to be open about like there's so many tools, there's so much out there. The playbooks or whatever else, it's like the overall knowledge of like that's how you should be done. And I'm still gonna be wrong.
Well, that's why people are still necessary, because you can't automate your way through it, right? You can't just
Right.
be like, well, I'll just flash on a new coat of paint and I'll tell you it's a new house. No, that's not. It's an old house with a new coat of paint on it. Um, but underneath the surface, nothing has really changed. And so, as we've heard from so many people, again, it's just an enhancer, a fast forward button, steroids for whatever it's being applied to. So if the thing it's being applied to is weak, fragile, chaotic, sclerotic, whatever, not going to work, right?
Right.
It's going to create more problems and more issues. Again, I think like going back to that, intentional design, that example I gave around just the account manager versus account strategist, I would love to see a lot more agencies start to do that sort of audit across their entire company, right? I know I'm talking to a rev guy, but I know by default that the thinking is like, well, we're going to start with the revenue side. We're going to start with all the client facing units inside the business. We'll get AI going, but we're going to get it going for sales and marketing, and we're going to get it going for account management, and we're going to get it going for production, but not for finance and not for ops. And usually PM is kind of left at the end too. So the revenue side of the business, as always with agencies, is heavily invested in. And the profit side of the business, the responsibility parties for the parties who are responsible for profit generally are not nearly as invested in because they're internal. They're not
Right.
client based,
And
right?
I look at it from your sort of you and I agree on this, which is kind of funny. Yes, I am a riff guy, but like I want to look from the internal stuff, right? Because I want dashboards of how fast and how I want to me, like, and I think you're this way too. Is like not only I want to know for like the bigger picture stuff what's going on, I want to see every single team and what their P&L looks like. I want to see every project. I want to see every little detail. What is the margin on every single project we're doing? And then what's the margin on every single team that's in the thing? And then the whole group. And then the whole like you know what I mean? Like bottom up. I want to see every single one of them because if you look at that, like if you just look at numbers and you know this, like from the top, you don't know actually what's going on in the thing. You can look at the top numbers, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you look down and like, wait a minute, margins are all over the place. And like, this is losing money. This is kind of there. Okay, this one thing is really margin there, but like, what's happening here? You know what I
Right.
mean?
And that's why Rev Gen without Rev Ops to me is an exercise a little bit in futility because the analogy I usually give is, agency owners are sailing a boat and the boat has holes in it already. And what they want is they want revenue generation. They want a bigger, faster boat. They don't want to close the holes before they get into a bigger, faster boat. So what happens is the holes get bigger faster
Right.
in the new boat. And so again, intentionally thinking about how these things work in concert with each other, right? I think is really, really an important designation that I think a lot of agency owners they'll go, well, I'll worry about the margins, after I get 5 new clients because we need new clients. New clients is all that matters. New revenue, more revenue, more revenue, more revenue. Problem with that is it has a cultural knock-on effect on your team because if the new revenue isn't producing new profitability, a year from now, your team is going to have worked really hard to expand their capacity to produce all this work for all this new revenue, but there'll be no money left over from all their hard work. So you're basically asking them to be hamsters on a wheel. And I can tell you there's no dignity in being a hamster on a wheel. And that's where you start to see turn because businesses get expensive, more expensive every year. Your people are going to get more expensive. And let's face it, they make up the majority of your OPEX and just running a business. Look at business insurance, look at healthcare, it's
Oh,
outrageous, right? So every year your business is getting more expensive, which means every year you need profit to go up, not revenue. Profit needs to go up. You need to have more money at the end of all that work. If you
I mean,
just
like,
have more money flowing in and there's nothing left over at the end, and January 1st comes and everybody goes, well, I just busted my ass for a year. I want a raise. And you go, I'd love to give you one. Thanks for all the hard work. I don't have any money to give you
right. I mean, listen, if your client is paying $1 million and you're spending $1 million to do the project, you don't have a business, right? Like,
one.
right,
But even that example, right? You may see this is the thing too. We see this a lot, right? Where like a perfect example. So much, let's say, so much concentration goes into like the major accounts, and I think we can all agree that for certainly agencies under $5 million, most of them have a client concentration risk issue. Okay, And the big client, the $1 million client, they get all the attention. And the financials around the big client may even be good. You may actually be making profit off the big client, which is great. That's awesome. But is it causing you to not make as much profit on the other clients? Or is
Mm.
it, or is there, again, there are holes all over the business. They're in production, they're in account management, project management, finance, ops, marketing, sales. There are
Oh,
holes in each one of those. And just solving it in one of those or two of those places doesn't necessarily get rid of the leakage that you have in all the others.
yeah, I mean, my thing is like, I'll take a $1 million company with 40% margin against a $3 million company with 2%, right? Like, you're playing a different game here, right? The other thing is like, my thing about, and we've talked about this, like, having a concentration in one big client is really, really scary, right? Like, you know, previous lives, it was like, oh, we just need another big client. I'm like, no, we don't. None
Yeah,
of that is true. We need 10 new clients at 250, $300,000, right? If you lose one of those, doesn't really matter, right? But the 250, 300, you can also do that, right? So all of a sudden you have this nice structural thing that you can run with. Someone would like, some of them are going to be 50%, some of them are 10%, some of them like, but overall, if you look at the portfolio, it works,
mhm.
right? But if you have 5 clients at 250 and then you have a $2 million client, well, that's a lopsided thing. You lose that $2 million client, you're pretty much screwed,
No
you know?
doubt. No doubt. Certainly, I keep using this word, but certainly doing audits and diagnostics internally on how you're making, yet how are you making your money? What's the quality of the money that's coming in? And also, you really should, if you've been in business for a while, you really should be. ICP is not what industry they're in.
No,
That's not the ideal client profile. The ideal client profile is who can you provide the most value to while they give you the most amount of money for you providing that value. That's the ideal client profile.
and it
Number
has to be
one,
like,
I
has to
don't
be
care.
standard.
Right. I don't care about healthcare versus like that. That's it's not saying it's not important. It's just not at the very, 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 very top of the list. Right. Like your ideal client profile should be like you should know if I want to be a $5 million company, the way to do that is to have 250,000 a year clients, not $2.5 million clients.
Right. I mean, you can kind of structure it, right? Say healthcare, and it's this, and side
And then
healthcare,
you should be
it's
able to
that,
explain
that,
why, right?
and what, right? So like the bottom is like, yeah, the bottom row is like healthcare, right? Then it's like, all right, in healthcare, this, in this, and who we attack, and who do
Right.
like that's the whole like,
And also like what kind of work, what kind of projects? Because the other thing is, and I'll go back a little bit on what I said earlier, is the reality is most of the biggest clients inside of agencies are not profitable, are not as profitable because they consume so much
yeah,
of the
yeah,
resources. Plus, generally, you're putting your most senior, most expensive people on those accounts.
but you want to deliver for those
Correct.
people.
And you're thinking, oh, well, if I do $1 million project, they'll give me a $250,000 retainer or whatever, right? So, but and again, it's not that it's illogical thinking. I understand the thinking behind it, but I think a lot of people just stop at the revenue came in the door, let's go get the next one instead of what's the quality of that revenue coming in the door, right?
And then it's the perpetual chase for the logo, right? Like, here's the no logo. I'm like, who cares?
Right.
It's the quality of the client, the quality of the work we're doing. Are they paying on time? Are we doing amazing work with them? I don't care if the logo is not brand name big boy thing.
Right.
Are we doing amazing work with them? Right.
Right. That's right. Because again, if you care about your team and your people, right, then $1 million client with no profit versus $100,000 client with 30% profit. Like that's a vanity exercise. You're just chasing names and logos for the sake of like pumping up your own ego and then thinking you're going to be able to parlay. This is the other thing. They think that they'll be able to parlay it from a marketing standpoint into more big enterprise clients. And it doesn't necessarily go that way.
And it's funny because remember back in the day when clients used to come to them like with big clients. So like, we'll do it because it's for the logo and you're gonna get more clients. Like all of a sudden you're talking yourself into it.
Oh yeah. And by the way, the team behind you who's worked on the last three big logos that you brought in the door and they haven't
Mhm.
gotten a raise because there's been no profit. You know what they hear the next time you say, oh, we're going to work with Google or whoever. Sorry, don't sue me, but like whoever it is, like they roll their eyes. They go, fuck. oh man, this is going to be super stressful for the next 6 months. It's going to be like crazy, like crazy amount of work, intensity coming from the client, intensity coming from the exec team, right? Like they don't want to do that. That's there's nothing like you're not
Want to work
creating
with
value for
people who
them.
they get along with. They want to do good work for people. Like that's the funny part about watching this. It's kind of like you just want to do good work, right? You want to have a talent. You want to do your craft to good people, that are fairly paying and doing that work. And the logo doesn't really matter that.
Right. I mean, and if you're an owner and you're thinking like this is going to make my business for valuable, then, and I'll talk quickly about exits, like then there's only one exit for you. And there's only one kind of buyer for you, actually.
Right.
And that's somebody who is really just going to do an aqua hire. They want to hire your team and they want to buy your client list, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
That's
sure, if you can find that buyer,
the other.
and yeah, then maybe you'll get an exit. By the way, you will probably be at the lower end of your multiple range, but you will find a buyer, right?
I
As a
wish they don't get.
Right, right. Exactly. As
Which,
opposed to
which
doing
is
it.
kind of hilarious because our client, that big client, wasn't, they were fine. We had better clients that nobody knew about.
Correct.
I mean, no like outside logo thing that recognized blah blah, but they're fantastic. It's still Harlem. It's fantastic. You know what I mean?
It's why I my hair stands up on the back of my neck when people talk about the word enterprise clients, because I'm like, can you define, like it's like business development. There's another term. Like if I ask 10 people to
Or business
define
development,
enterprise or what business development, I'll get 10 different answers, right? And
or
so
web development, or any one of these things, dude. Like any one of those,
there
right?
are a lot of $1 billion a year companies out there that nobody's ever heard of.
Really are.
You're going to tell me that's not enterprise work?
That's really enterprise work,
Right.
right? Like chasing the logo is definitely, don't chase the logo. Chase
Like
the business. Chase the work. Chase
there's a value to having those kind of clients. I do understand it. I think the careful thing is you can actually get the best of both worlds where, again, this comes down to knowing yourself and positioning yourself a certain way. And if you do that successfully, I don't think you'll get a range of like types of clients or types of logos that come in the door. But what will be consistent is the type of work and the type of value that you're providing back to them. As opposed to, for this client, the value in the work's over here. For this client, the value in the work's over here. Like it's no, no,
yeah,
no. It,
yeah.
right?
I think, yeah, kind of love it. What do you think the rest of the year looks like from just like a
Rest of the
market,
year. Oh, from which? Sorry, from which perspective?
just the market perspective? Like, the rest of the year looks like overall, not just you, but I'm sure like,
I think that the longer the longer agencies go getting exposure to new technology, I think we're in like the second, third inning of this thing. So we're really early still. And that's the other thing is like, I don't know people who are like, well, I know exactly where we're going and what's going to happen. And so I'm going to design it's like, okay, like you must be a genius. Well, I guess we'll find out. Um, but I'm very optimistic for the rest of the year. I feel like, I think this may not be very popular, but I think a lot of business development people, I won't go say agencies, but I think BD people and salespeople in particular, I think I think it's an I'll use the word. I think it's lazy to constantly point at the external market as the reason why things are slow. Oh, it's all the clients, it's the CFO is in charge, not the CMO, or, procurement, everything was great. And then we got to procurement and legal and it's just taken a really long time. Or the clients don't really know how they want to do OpEx versus CapEx this year. So they're like, all those things that are like on the other side of the table are so easy to be like, there's not really anything we can do. We just have to wait till the market kind of shifts. And I just think that that is just a little bit, I'm not saying that there's no truth in that. Of course there is some, but I do not think that's the majority of the issue. I think most of the issues with people's slow sales cycles and sales and closures, and again, we're talking about new work, but not just new work, but even the evolution of their business is more like they keep waiting for the market to do it for them instead of going like, hey, let hey, if it is a downtime, what are we doing with our downtime? How are we looking inward? Now's the time for this because I'm not talking to clients. So I might as well do this.
outside. And to me, it's more of like, listen, honestly, market force is going to be a market force. But the market is going to be the market, right? And clients will client, like we always say. But the business world still goes around. The world still goes around. There's business to be had. You just got to find where it is and what to do with it, right?
And they
And
have
like,
needs from
And
digital.
people have needs, and there's different ways about it, right? If this market is really down in the dumpster fire right now, go look at other things. Go look at other, it's transferable to other things. Go look at them, right? And go chase it. Like that's the job. The job is to go chase it. You can't just sit there and go send the 5 cold emails and go, well, I didn't get anything about it. So yeah, good job, right? Like,
Must be the
no,
market.
must be the market. Go chase it. Go get creative. Go get like I'm telling you, like looking at some of the stuff, I'm like, let's change how we're looking. We're talking to people. Let's send them a valuable thing. Like it's not just like a checking or this is where the whole QBR thing was like, QBRs mean nothing if you haven't done it every single week and talk to every single person. Like have that conversation. This is where the account strategy comes from, right? Not just
Exactly where I was about to go. You're
talking, right? Like, how are we talking to these people? Do we have ideas for clients? Can we go to them? You're hired not as I'm just going to build this stuff and that's it. You're hired to go. We're hiring professionals to do the solutions and help us.
right. But people you've hired into a job are not going to self evolve in their job. It is the responsibility of leadership
Yeah,
to come in and go, this is not how we're going to do account work anymore. This is how we're going to do account work now. And because this is how we're going to do it, these are the skill sets that are required for a human being to do this account job now. So either the team has it and there's no gap, or the team doesn't have it and we're going to invest professionally in people so we can develop them into this and give them the skill sets that they need, or we have to change out the personnel and actually hire somebody. If you're a dev shop, I don't know why you're not hiring MBA account strategists right now, because you're not going to rebuild .com every single year. So what are you going to do in the down years for your clients? Like, how are you going to continue to mature the relationship and get better work and so on and so forth? I think agencies are in a place where they have a tremendous, I said this, uh, I was at an event in New York here maybe a month or two ago. Um, and I said this then. I think agencies are, for right now, because it is early innings, I think agencies are in a incredibly advantageous position as, dirty word, I know you hate it, advisors or consultants for their clients, in the sense of they can be like meteorologists. Meteorologists go to school to learn how to analyze data. And then based on their experience, they predict what the weather is going to be. And they tell us all, the lay people, because I'm a meteorologist, you're going to trust me. And I'm going to tell you it's going to be raining tomorrow.
yeah, yeah.
How often does it not actually rain the next day?
I'm not saying
So
that's a
it's
dirty word. It's more of, uh, I guess for me, the way I always look at it, and you've heard you say this, like, go find work to do. Like literally go for as everybody is responsible in the company to find work.
Yeah,
And
but
I
I
think
don't think clients are asking you to be right. I think they're asking for your
absolutely,
best educated guess right now. And that's a great place to be because you can get paid and there's no accountability to be right. Obviously, you have to have expertise and you have to be able to demonstrate that. I'm not saying you can't be wrong 100% of the time. And weather people are not wrong 100% of the time. In fact, they're probably right more often than they're wrong. But we, of course, always remember, oh, they said it was going to be sunny and it rained or
yeah. I don't. It's not just that. Like go find. Like I simplify it to go find work. I mean that by everybody in company that works on those clients has to have those ideas because everybody has those ideas, and I think they shy away from it too many times. Of like, well, that's not my job. I'm going to do the thing. I'm like, well, you have ideas. Let's build them out so we have more work. So we have all those things going all the time.
I don't think clients really. I mean, if you want to commoditize, here's where I think time material billing actually does work. If you want to completely commoditize your work and say to clients, um, if what you value from us comes out of our fingertips on a keyboard, great. Like that's fine. We can keep circling the drain in that relationship. But the majority of clients are much more interested in your ideas and what's in the 6 inches between the people on your teams, right? The brains of your team are what differentiate you from them working with another agency. Like agencies have account managers. They all do. Like I don't
Friends,
really know the difference between, account manager over here and account manager over here, but the client's going to know because one of them is going to be giving them actually deep business ideas and doing strategy work with them. And the other one's going to be going, And here's what the competitive landscape of your top 3 competitors did in the last 90 days. And here's a recommendation of how you can spend more money with us so you can just be like them.
And it's not more, it could not be more visible in the current time with AI.
100%. It's certainly a lot more discoverable, right? Like it's just so obvious. And by the way, that same global CMO on that call, which was a call with agencies, was like, to be honest with you, I don't even care if you guys use AI or you don't. What I care about is, am I getting better experiences and better deliverables? If you're using it to give me better, fucking kudos to you, knock yourself out. If you're not using it to give me better, more valuable things, kudos to
Good
you,
for you.
knock
Yep.
yourself out.
Yep.
The clients don't really care about the methodology and the mechanics as much as they care about the end result, the outcome, right? And also, here we go about relationships again, building trust and credibility as being an expert in your space. They don't require you to be right 100% of the time. They require you to be right most of the time, but what they really require is you to think in a way they haven't thought about yet,
Correct.
because you do this for a living and they don't. They sell beer. And your job is to figure out how to do digital strategy.
Exactly. And with that, my friends, another 6 months will come by. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, man. It was fun.
It was always fun.
Congratulations on the new gig.
Thank you. Also, where people can find you.
Oh, where they can find me? Oh man, lots of things going on. I'll keep it to 2 out of the 4 right now. So first of all, RGRO Solutions. We do intentional operational design and value creation. We kind of meet you where you are in the agency lifecycle between growth, scale, value, and exit. I also run Safe Landing Capital, which is a boutique operator led private equity firm. We partner with agency owners to drive value and get them the exits that they deserve, that they've spent a lot of time building out over the many, many years. So yeah, that's where we are there. SafeLandingCapital.com, RGROSolutions.com. Email me, Jason at RGRO, J Rosenbaum at Safe Landing Capital. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the places. Well, actually, I'm not on all the places. LinkedIn is probably the best
Just
place.
LinkedIn. Just LinkedIn. Let's stick
But
with LinkedIn.
actually, I am on X also, but I'm not very often on it. So, uh,
Nice.
but that's where I am,
All
and I'm
right,
also
sir.
in Brooklyn. So if you come through New York, look me up. Take you out for a drink or a coffee or something.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What do you do now,